What is up, Tube users, and welcome back to another episode of Fantastically Fun Games for under $15. Today, we are talking about a great game and another one of my favorites, Deep Rock Galactica. Now, Deep Rock Galactica is usually at a somewhat steep price range for the game itself at $30, but from now until September 30th, this game is at a steal price for only $10. And this game is just so incredibly fun to play. For $10, it is definitely worth the price. This game just has so many unique and so many little fun things that just make this game so enjoyable compared to just any other first-person shooters. I mean, there's some things that it lacks, but it definitely makes up for the uniqueness of different things and different abilities and different things you can just do in the game. And this game is definitely a game to play with friends. It's probably one of the best co-op games out there right now, just with how fun and interesting and how difficult this game can be, and just the rewards for leveling up certain characters, getting different upgrades and stuff, and just being able to play this game with friends is a really good experience. And it's probably one of the best games for co-op, just in general. And even playing solo is still pretty fun. I mean, in this game here, I'm playing solo, and I still just absolutely love the experience of playing this game. I mean, the uniqueness of each level, how it's procedurally generated, the different missions, which some can be repetitive and aren't as great, but they're all like super unique compared to one another. It's not like really any are similar in that regards. And I mean, for the most part, they're just really fun and enjoyable to play. And probably one of the best things about this game is that everything can be earned pretty easily through just playing the game. There's no microtransactions. Like, there's some DLC skins and stuff that you can buy, but they're mainly just to support the game and support the creators. There's nothing like really in-game that costs money. It's all in-game currencies for them. I think actually, yeah, everything in this game is just in-game currencies. Like the battle pass, as it were, is just all done through playing the game, and is pretty easy to, like, just if you're playing the game doing the side objectives and stuff, you can pretty easily get the cosmetics and stuff in there. And that's just one of probably the best things about this, is how unintrusive it is to your wallet. So I'll just go over briefly how missions work in this game if anyone hasn't seen or played this game before. Basically how it works is you're going into a cave trying to collect and find a certain item, and then you'll have a bonus objective, which isn't necessary to do, but it just gives you extra cash at the end of the objective, and it's usually just to find or kill something. They're usually pretty easy to do throughout the mission, and basically you just have to go around spelunking your way through these caves, and you'll find different minerals and stuff that aren't part of the mission or aren't part of the secondary, and those are mainly used for upgrading in later stages. So definitely when you start out, you want to be mining everything you can. And if you can't tell if you can mine, I mean, you can mine everything. Like, you can just create massive holes in the caves. You can create shortcuts if you want to. It is kind of tough because it takes a few hits to go through just regular walls and stuff, but you can mine through anything in this game, which is really cool. But for the most part, you'll know what kind of materials they kind of stand out compared to other things. And you'll use those for different upgrades and stuff later on, but you definitely want to be using those or just gaining those materials whenever you find them. And while you're doing all that, you're dodging and fighting different, typically bugs, but there's some other enemies that you'll come across, and Yeah, every once in a while there'll be a swarm of different enemies, so you just gotta fight them off. And at higher difficulties, the swarms will be tougher. So it's definitely best to just start out at the easier modes just to get a hang of things. But pretty quickly, as if you're a FPS aficionado like myself, you definitely can go for a harder difficulty off the bat. But I would say, at least for the first round, just to get a basis of what you're doing, you want to start out on the easier mode. And that's what's so great about this game, is that each time you go spelunking, it feels totally unique and different each place you go to. Each place has like different modifiers and stuff, and sometimes there'll be different threats and different things to look out for. There'll be like different little secrets that you'll find in each zone. There's just all these like little things that just make this game so unique. And while like the FPS part of this game can be a little bit lackluster compared to just your normal Call of Duty first person shooter kind of game, it really makes up for all those little details. Like, I think one of the coolest and most fun things about this game is honestly the hub starting zone before you launch a mission. There's just something about it that just is so interesting. There's so many like little mini games to play, so many little fun secrets to explore, so many different like things that really don't add to your gameplay or like enhance your character or anything, but they're just so fun, you know. Like, you have like a little arcade machine that has Flappy Birds that you can play. You can just go to the bar, get drunk, and turn on the jukebox and dance hilariously. I mean, all of the dances are just great, seeing dwarfs do them. And then there's just like little mini games, like you kick the barrels into the hole kind of game. You have a little secret soccer kind of game that you can play. And like a lot of it is just really built to play with friends, which is great fun. Like, I mean, the place is huge to explore, so you can just like play hide and seek in there. And like, I've spent hours just playing hide and seek with friends in the hub zone, which is really fun to do. And yeah, like, there's just so many different things. Like, you could turn on low gravity, you can do all these, like, just doesn't even do anything for your game, right? But it's just so fun and just makes the game so much more immersive. But let's not dilly-dally around anymore. Let's dive into some tips and tricks for anyone who wants to pick up this game. My first tip before starting any mission is to go to the bar and order the special beer. I mean, obviously when you first start out playing this game, you're not going to have the currency to buy the beers, but definitely when you get on later on, and especially when you're trying to do some of the elite and like harder missions, you definitely want to be buying the beer. Sometimes it's not useful, sometimes it's just like gathering some sort of material. It'll gather more of a certain material that you don't need. But for the most part, a lot of them are just super helpful. There's like ones that give you more health, ones that will you'll take less fall damage, which is, I believe, the beer that I'm using this run. So a lot of them can be just super helpful in general, and it's always good to just go check and see if it's one of the special beers is one that would be helpful for your mission. I've only ever played the Scout class in this game, and I would say Scout is honestly the best for anyone playing solo in this game, just because they have so much maneuverability. They don't have the damage output of the other classes, but the grappling hook is just such a useful tool in this game for maneuvering around and trying to get to places that just the other classes really can't do easily. It's super helpful, especially just playing by yourself, and plus the flares that you get, just being able to light up an entire room with one singular flare and not having to throw these like little miniature flares that don't give off much light. It's so helpful. One of the things the game doesn't really tell you is anything. I mean, there may be a tutorial now. I don't know. But when I started playing, these were the things that were confusing to me. So just explaining them will hopefully help anyone else out. So when you're in a mission, there's a couple of different things to look out for when mining. You have red sugar, which is like a light red material, and that's like basically health restore when you mine it. So if you're at full health, you won't actually mine and collect it. I think like right around here, I'm looking for some red sugar to get, and because my health is super low, so I'm gonna try and find some of that. Then you have like a darker red material that's typically pretty easy to mine, and you definitely want to be looking out for that, especially when you get to higher difficulties. That's nitra, and once you get, I believe it's 80 nitra in total, which you'll see your inventory at the bottom of the screen. Once you get 80 nitra, you can call in a supply drop that has 4 different like ammo and health restores on it. And so playing solo, it's super useful. Like you'll probably only need 1 ammo drop in the earlier games, but you definitely want to be getting at least enough for 1 resupply per mission. And the other thing you'll find is gold, and basically gold just turns into cash at the end of your run. And cash can be used to buy different minerals. It's used in upgrading things, I believe. And so it's a useful thing to get, but it's not super necessary most of the time, because you do get a lot of cash through just completing missions and doing the bonus objectives. And then after that there's just bonus minerals that you'll find, and typically those are used for upgrading and buying different cosmetics and stuff. So they're all super useful. I would definitely, anytime you're in a mission and you see these different materials, is to definitely go for them, because you're going to need them at some point. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that when you are playing solo, you get this bot that you've seen probably in this video, that flies around with you, and they'll help just gun down different enemies, and they can revive you up to 3 times if you get downed. But in co-op, the bot isn't there. You can upgrade the bot too, and so if you're playing a lot of solo, you definitely want to be upgrading it when you can. But if you're playing with friends, you won't ever see the bot, so it's just better to not upgrade it if you tend to play with friends a lot of the time. This is more of a tip for when you get into those harder zones. There's going to be less materials to find, less nitra, less health, less everything. And so you really want to be conserving your ammo as much as possible. And so the best way to do that is that whenever you resupply at an ammo cache, it's going to resupply, I think it's 50% of your ammo, but it resupplies everything. It resupplies your primary, it resupplies your secondary, it resupplies like your flares if you're a scout or whatever your third item is. It resupplies your grenades as well. So you want to be using like as much of all of your materials as possible before resupplying. Another tip I have is to not underestimate your terrain scanner. It is a super useful tool, especially when going and trying to find main objective stuff for most missions. If you hold tab, you bring up your terrain scanner, and it just really helps at identifying where your main objectives are. And it sometimes can find, depending on what like secrets there are, they can sometimes help you find secret things inside of caves as well. And I think the final tip I'll leave you guys with is to not underestimate loot bugs. They give off a lot of good materials, and typically, especially in the later games, you want to be using your pickaxe to kill the loot bugs, just because it's a way to conserve ammo. They're never hostile, so it's always best to just pickaxe them when possible. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you liked. Comment any other tips and tricks you have for Deep Rock Galactica in this game. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
The mule is secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic thanks you for your good work. Drop pod will leave with or without you. That's one for the books. Retrieving escape pod.
That rhythm